Welcome back to my channel. So as a professional coach, I rely heavily on the competencies of emotional intelligence in working with my clients. I'd like to start today talking a little bit about the first competency of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, and how you can use your character strengths in order to guide you in developing some insights that are so very important for you to get out of your own way and stop engaging in habitual behaviors that are no longer serving you. So briefly, self-awareness is the ability to know oneself well, to know your triggers, to know why you do what you do, and not be at the mercy of your emotions. So let's talk about that from the point of character strengths. I recommend that you take a free assessment that's been developed by the VIA Institute on character strength assessment. It is a character strength assessment that has been put together by many social scientists, psychologists, anthropologists, social workers, etc. The survey studies world religions, world psychology, world philosophies, world behaviors, and what it has done with this data is to synthesize this data into 24 common character strengths that are unique to all human beings on this planet. And when you take the VIA character strength survey yourself, and again it is free, and I will leave the link below this video so that you can do that. When you take this survey, it's going to give you your top 5 character strengths out of the 24 that are common to every human being on the planet. Now, that doesn't mean that you have more or less of any strength. These top 5 strengths are actually telling you or informing you as to how do you navigate your life. What strengths do you use when you are at work? What strengths do you use in relationships? What strengths do you use when you are challenged or you're under stress? Your top 5 character strengths are really the tools that you use to approach life and to navigate it in a way that meets your needs. The issue is that many of us overuse those strengths and we misrepresent ourselves to the people that we are working with or the people who we are in relationships with. And we don't do this intentionally. We're just really unaware of how we might be overusing these strengths. Again, we're talking about self-awareness and trying to spotlight those things that we do in a habitual manner that could short-circuit our success or even sabotage some relationships. So the first strength I want to talk about is honesty. And the definition of honesty that is used is to live your life in a genuine and authentic manner. Now, who would argue that honesty is not a terrific strength? Of course it is. Is it a good strength for a leader? Is it a good strength for an individual? Is it a good strength for a professional caregiver? Of course it is. But now let's talk about how overusing the strength of honesty can trip you up. Because there is a big difference between being honest and brutally honest. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So if you are someone who overuses their character strength of honesty, if it's one of your top 5 character strengths, and this is one of the strengths that you use to navigate your world, and you're overusing it, you could come across as overly harsh. And you think that you are being authentic and transparent, and in many ways you might even think that you're being courageous in telling someone what you believe is your version of the truth. And the key here is that it's your version of the truth. Now, my sainted Irish mother had, a way of being able to say, I'm just telling it like it is. And she was brutally honest, and she thought she was doing a good thing. And even though she was a wonderful woman and really put family above everything else, the family would stay away from her because of her brutal honesty. She never had an opportunity to authentically share her honesty in a way that was compassionate, empathetic, caring. Her honesty, because she overused it, came across as judgmental, sanctimonious at times, and certainly harsh. If you were to confront her with this, she would have been shocked because she honestly was coming from a place of love, or so she thought. And she didn't really connect with the fact that she was overusing this wonderful strength, and in doing so, She was misrepresenting herself to the world. She was misrepresenting herself as someone who was overly harsh and critical and someone that you need to stay away from, you know, unless you want to walk away bleeding. Now, you can see how this can happen in the workplace. If you are overly harsh or overly honest in the workplace and you are speaking your truth, but in a manner that is not allowing people to hear what you have to say, well, how effective are you? If you are trying to get at the heart of a family situation and you are trying to be honest and you're erring on the side of brutally honest, you're not going to be included in the next family discussion. The whole idea of being self-aware is to really embrace your strengths. Honesty is a wonderful strength. But to be aware of when you are overusing it so that it doesn't misrepresent you and that it doesn't sabotage you in your good efforts. The next character strength I'd like to talk about is spirituality. Now, who would argue that having a sense of spirituality is anything but wonderful? But if this is one of your 5 top character strengths and this is how you navigate your life, then if you overuse this strength, it can come across as sanctimony. When your staff, let's just say you are a charge nurse, and all the staff is gathering together for the beginning of the shift huddle, and all of a sudden you get that dreaded phone call that one of your staff members is going to be floated. Well, no one wants to hear that, but we know that's something that we live with day in and day out. You turn around and you say, the person then, goes ahead and they leave the unit, and you turn around to the remaining staff on the unit who's now feeling like, they're going to be overburdened during that particular shift. And you try to make some spiritual connection with, well, we're doing, the universe's work, or offer it up for some good reason, or some sanctimonious type of statement. Your staff is going to look at you like you're nuts. And rightly so. They were probably looking for you to offer up a little bit of an argument, or at least enter into a negotiation over why this person shouldn't be floated, or if they're floated, could they be floated for half a shift, or do something in terms of advocacy as opposed to just spiritual acceptance of something that nobody really wanted to have to deal with to begin with. You think you're leading your staff and grounding them in the mission and vision and probably the spirituality of why they became professional caregivers. And your staff is looking at you like, I didn't sign up to be a religious person. I didn't sign up, to not have my leader advocate for me. And they feel sold out. And then you wonder why they're disgruntled. Spirituality is a fabulous, fabulous strength. And it is, to me, one of the key things to keeping you connected to the joy of becoming a professional caregiver. And it's certainly one of the key things that keeps you connected to the ability to be a family caregiver. But when it is overused and you now err on the side of sanctimony, or you don't advocate when advocacy is necessary because you are just accepting of pain and challenge because you feel that this is going to nurture your spirit in some way, you really are tiptoeing around the drain of compassion fatigue. You really have to learn how to not necessarily accept everything that comes, but to advocate when advocacy is necessary, and not just accept that this is your lot in life. And especially if you're a leader, keep remembering it's not you're not serving yourself. Leadership is a service role, and that you need to advocate for your staff and not just blindly accept things without making the staff or allowing the staff to feel that they have input and someone to advocate and at least someone to negotiate on their behalf.